Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about two different products sent out to me by Elite for a review. First will be the Elite Infini needle cartridges, and then we're going to be talking about the Elite Pocket S7. This is their wireless stencil printer. You can print from Windows, Mac, or your phone as well. So this is really cool. First off, this was sent to me by Elite for a review, but as always, I will be giving you my honest opinion about my experience with these products. But if you do want to buy any of this or anything off of Elite's website, you can go to EliteTattoo.com and use my code TylerTattoos for 10% off your order. I had to check that because I have it written down because my memory will forget. So first, let's talk about the needles, and then we'll move on to the printer, and I'll show you a couple different things with the app that you can do with this. So let's get into it. So here are my most used needle groupings when it comes to needle cartridges. I've been only using coils to line, so I've been using standard needles for that. But these are all the shaders that I use the most. First, to start out, are the 3 liners. They have a really interesting stipple shader, which I'll show you in a minute, but this is just a normal 3 liner. So we'll start out with that. I really do like the way that these are built. So far, I haven't had any cartridges that I had to throw out due to membrane malfunction or the needles being hooked or anything like that. The cartridge itself is built really well. They're really solid. I like the taper down the bottom. So far, I haven't had any problems. When it comes to actually putting it into the machine, they do have a very tight tolerance. Like this, I have to really push, which is a good thing because some cartridges, I feel like when you go to put them in a machine or into a grip, they'll like continue to twist because they're too small, but these work really well for the machines that I've used it on. This is the Ava EP7 Plus. I use this exclusively pretty much for stipple shading with tight 3s. Next, we'll talk about this stipple shader, which is really just 3 tight 3s in a row. All right, there we go. We got 3 tight 3s in the formation of a mag pretty much, but there is a little bit of space in between each tight 3 grouping. Now, what this will be used for is the same thing how regular tight 3 would be used for stipple shading, but this is good for covering larger areas more quickly. If you've ever done any type of stipple shading, then you know that larger areas can be a little bit more difficult, or it just takes a little bit longer. With this, you're able to move a lot quicker, and it is a little bit different to get used to when you're tattooing with it. I will say that, just because normally with the tight 3, it's just in one spot. Now you have to kind of tilt and orient your hand to where you're more so flush with the skin like this, opposed to with a regular tight 3, you'd be able to shade like this. Now you can do that, but you would just be catching the edge needles. So with this, you're basically perpendicular to the skin. These are my 3 most used. We got a 9, 23, and 15, all curved mags. I got them with a medium taper. Starting out, here is the 23. This is really good for larger areas, packing, color. You can do some soft shading with this if you want, but the same fit as the other cartridges. I like the way that this works. Mostly what I'll use these with is with my Critical Torque. I will use this for color packing and packing black as well. Here's a 15 curve mag. I'm trying to move through this pretty quick just because I feel like cartridges are cartridges. They all kind of look the same. It's just people want to know, do they work well? And so far, I've had these for about a month, and they've worked really well for me. Up next, let's talk about their Pocket S7. This is their wireless stencil printer. It's a really small machine. This is really thin and short. This is a 12-inch iPad Pro, and you can see it is just short of how tall it is. And then even with its thickness, I do have a case on the iPad Pro, but you can see the thickness comparison between the two. I do like how they have both the 8.5 by 11 and 8.5 by 14 thermal sheets. These are really nice to have depending on if you're doing something really sizable or just normal everyday tattooing. You have the choice. The app is really full featured. I'm going to show that to you in a second. On the website, it says on a full charge, you can get 120 to 160 sheets printed on one battery charge. I don't know how true that is because I don't think I printed that many sheets. Just like I said earlier, I've been testing these things out for about a month, and that is what my experience is based on. So once you download their app, you can go up here to single sheet print or image segmentation. If you just go to the regular image print, you can pick right from your camera roll. Let's pick this Medusa stencil that I was doing on a client, and I'll go through the different features for you. So right up here at the top, you can pick either the 11-inch or the 14-inch paper, depending on how you want to print it. We'll just go with 11-inch. And down here in this toolbar, you can go to crop your image however you want. We already have this cropped, so we don't have to worry about that. Then the next option is dimension. You can just type in how many millimeters wide and high you would like it, and it will dimension it for you. You can just size it with your fingers as well, and the size will be up here in the corner in millimeters. If you printed this out or drew this for a right arm, but it's actually going on a left arm and you have to mirror the image, you can go right down here to mirror, which is really convenient, and then you can either mirror it right or left, or you can mirror it up and down, which is super convenient. Also, you can rotate it. I don't really know why you would want to rotate it, just because you can just print it and then rotate it in real life. But whatever. Up next here is adjustment. This is a brightness and contrast, and this will come more in handy when we go over the filter option right here, which I guess we'll do right now. So let's pretend you took a picture of some tattoo flash out of a book that you just want to stencil up. You don't want to have to actually draw the line work. This is actually a print that I have available on my website, tylernicholasart.com, and this is a design out of my flash book, Rata Refined, if you want to go check that out. Shameless advertisement. So you can just take this normal picture and go down here to filter and go to P01, and it will basically show you the lines and the gradients in black and gray. Now if you want to basically like bring more out of that filter, you can go here to the brightness and contrast. I'll bring the brightness up a bit and then also the contrast, and you can see it kind of gives you just the darks and the lines. You can mess with this as much as you want, but if you do bring down the darkness on an actual picture, I don't know, I feel like it kind of muddies it up. So I like to bring the brightness up and then the contrast up, and it kind of just really shows you where the black and also the lines will go. This is especially helpful if you want to take an actual picture, say of a lion, and turn that into a stencil if you're lazy and you don't want to go through and draw your actual stencil. So you can go to the filter and go here, and it'll basically, I don't know what this would be called. I know that this is a specific type of filter. I don't know if it's like find edges or something. And you can really mess with this and tune it however you'd like. I mostly like to bring up the brightness really high and then the contrast really high. So you're basically just kind of taking out the noise. One thing I will say that I wish they had was a filter for just the lines. I've used an app before to where they have a couple different filters, and if you were doing a design like I showed you earlier, like the flash design that I took a picture of, you'd be able to bring this in and then click a filter that would just do the solid black lines, and there wouldn't be any shading, there wouldn't be any type of color or anything like that. I find that's more helpful. I'm not a big fan of the shading being in there, but I mean, it works. It's just I wish there was a filter to just pick out the lines. All right, let's go back to this Medusa, and I'll show you how this thing prints. I did have a few problems with this when I was printing, and I'll show you now if it will demonstrate. I didn't have a camera on. When I was tattooing the other day, the roller that's inside of here, it basically sucked up the paper, and instead of spitting it out the part where it's supposed to come out, it just rolled all around this roller, and that was not good because it didn't print my stencil. It just kind of sucked it up. One other thing I will say is you can see that this is kind of built a little bit. I don't know if this is focusing. There we go. This isn't like super durable. I don't know how long this thing is going to last, how it comes apart and clips back together. So we'll see. That's the one thing I will say. The quality on this is a little bit plasticky. So you take the onion layer out, and then you rip the back yellow part off right up here. You can use scissors if you want. Now you can see here, Elite, with the arrow, you insert the paper right here, the top edge down. It should grab onto it like it did just there. So we'll go up to the top corner here and press print. It should connect. Right down here you can pick how dark the stencil will print. I just do dark and it works really well. Oh, okay, good, it came out. I'm gonna have to do this a few more times to try to make it roll around the roller. That was one problem that I had the first time I tried it, but now it's just coming out nice. All right, there we go. We got our stencil. All those little details are in there really nicely. You can see that there's no artifacts left anywhere. It's just the pure line work that I want it to be printed, which is really nice. Just the consistency of these wireless printers is so nice with the detail that you get. All right, let's do one more. I'm gonna print out the line and show you what it looks like when you just print out an image with that filter on it. All right, there we go. We got our lion. Let's see what he's looking like on here. Very solid, very clean. I think that filter does do a good job if you are somebody that likes to just print directly from a picture. If you're doing a lot of black and gray realism and you're one of those people that, you know, you don't feel like the need to hand draw your stencils, this does work really well. Overall, I think it's a good printer. Like I said, the only issue that I did have with it was it going around this roller in here, and I had to kind of undo it, and also that plasticky feel. So this opinion is based on a month worth of me using it. It works really well so far for me. If you do want to go check one of those out, once again, you can go to elitetattoo.com and use my code TylerTattoos to get 10% off. Also, you can go check out my website. If you did want to check out my flash book, which I did just put back in stock, I just got another shipment of them in. I do have that, along with some prints. This is just one of the print, and that design's also in the book. You can go to tylernicholasart.com. Thanks guys for watching. I appreciate your support. I don't know why I can't talk today. I'm gonna go get a coffee and edit this video. Thanks for watching. See ya.